Buzz in the Box here. I want to get into the emails that were released a couple days ago regarding some sort of talk of aliens. Now, the emails were between Mr. Podesta and Edgar Mitchell, and a little background on these guys so you can have an idea of what's going on. John Podesta is currently the chairman for the 2016 presidential campaign for Hillary Clinton, and one of the things that he's gone on record to the public is that his biggest regret while serving in office for the two presidents is not being able to push forward alien disclosure. Now, Hillary Clinton has gone on record to say that if she were president, she would definitely push forward alien disclosure. Now, when Hillary came out on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show saying that if she were to become president, she would look into the alien phenomenon, I first thought it was a voter tactic, but after reading these emails, it could have been more than just a tactic. Now, the email correspondence were between Mr. Podesta and this gentleman here, Edgar Mitchell, who is the sixth man to walk on the moon. Now, Edgar Mitchell has some interesting backgrounds and interest in ufology. I'll leave a Wikipedia link so you can check it out for yourselves. Now, the first email to John from Edgar is about him and John getting together to talk about disclosure and 0 point energy. He also ties in the name Terry Mansfield, who will be there too. Now, what I found on Terry Mansfield is very interesting. In her website, she does have in her mission statement that they intend to educate humans about their work with nonviolent, obedient to God ETIs. Now, it begs the question, is there violent, non-obedient, violent to God entities? I don't know. These are questions that we may need to ask ourselves if we're going to start taking these subject matters as realistic probability. Number two, very weird stuff. We fundraise with billionaires only for carefully selected who are 501c3s who are transforming society. Now, last time I checked, billionaires make very, very small percentages of the population. So I'd definitely be curious to find out what criteria this organization uses to select their funders. It's important to note that in the email, Edgar refers to Terry Mansfield as his Catholic colleague to bring them up to date on the Vatican's awareness of ETI. Now, in truth circles out there, there has been information that directly ties the Catholic Church as covering up a lot of information in the history and using the UFO disclosure as a deceptive tool to bring in or help bring in this new world order that I think the narrative is that it's necessary at this point due to all the chaotic mess that's going on. Now, in the second email, Edgar lets John know that the space race is heating up and to remind him that the ETIs are providing technologies like 0 point energy and will not tolerate any kind of war or any kind of military action, Earth or in space. Now, this does tie in the fake space program conspiracy that has been rumored to have existed and that NASA is some sort of front. Now, I'm not totally buying into that, but it does bring up the question about what is really going on behind the scenes with technology, and other countries really getting involved with the space programs has recently jumped in the last 5-10 years. Now, in the second email, if you scroll down after you read the email from Edgar, you'll see a name that he mentions, and that is Carol Rosen. Now, Carol Rosen is a very interesting character, especially within this email exchange, or actually, well, the emails are only one-sided, at least that we know. But Carol Rosen was a woman who allegedly worked alongside of Dr. von Braun. Von Braun was a former Nazi and one of the most important German weapons specialists to work on rocketry and jet propulsions in the U.S. after World War II. He eventually became a technical director of U.S. Army Ordnance Guided Missile Project in Alabama. He was also chiefly responsible for rocketry for the nation's space program, or NASA. Here is Carol giving a speech on her interactions with Dr. von Braun.
Good morning. My name is Carol Rosen. In 1974, after being a sixth grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, "Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space." And I said, teachers don't stop until June. He said, no, you have to understand, this is February, and we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies, he said, against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system, the first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids. And then he would repeat to me over and over, and the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat. Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear in the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions to waste these dollars on a space-based system, and they're all lies.
Now, just to add a little conspiratorial spin on von Braun, in his tombstone he has Psalms 19:1, which reads, "The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands." I do find it rather funny that a former Nazi scientist would have Psalms 19:1 on his tombstone. Now, the emails were from Edgar to John Podesta. There hasn't been any unveiling of emails to Edgar Mitchell from Podesta, so we have to consider whether these emails are even real or it's a hoax or whatnot, but it would appear that there is some substance. There is some alignment with some of the slow disclosure, as I like to call it, that's been happening in the last 10, 15 years with possible life in the universe, with habitable planets that they've discovered. And with the Vatican coming out saying that alien brothers can be baptized, and we need to, think about these types of doctrines in the event that we do discover alien brothers. So if these emails are not fake, like some people have claimed that they are, who are these entities? Where do they come from? Can they be trusted? Are they from another planet or from another dimension?